Hi everybody, this is Salesforce Jen and I'd like to talk about Experience Cloud. So today I'm going to talk about an LWR or a Lightning Web Runtime site maintaining the header or creating the header on it. It is a very small piece of it, but I wanted to explain it to you. To do LWR sites, you need to have a lot more experience in the Salesforce ecosystem. You're going to want to have some coding experience. I won't get into all that, but I'm going to talk about this one small section. So the first thing I did was I created a Lightning Web Runtime. I picked the build your own website. After you do that, you'll see an image like this. I started by going to all sites right here and hit new to create that. Once you're done, you go into workspaces, and from there you can go into admin settings, which I've already done over here. And make sure you go to your left side under settings and you hit activate. I've already done that because you can see the deactivate button here. And the other thing you need to do after you go to all sites is you click builder, which will take you into a section like this. I know it's very blank right now. I've also made it larger so my picture looks huge, but you do this and the first thing you do is hit publish. And publish is basically save. It's saying now the site's activated and now we're ready to go, but you have to hit publish first. Okay, and there's a reason, because when you work with Lightning Web Runtime, you're going to use your CMS, which is the content management system, to bring in your pictures. So what that looks like is if you were anywhere on your site, you go to the waffle menu or the app launcher and you type in digital experiences. Now this only shows up after you've created your site. So then you go to digital experiences, which I've gone to here. It'll open up. It may look a little different. And at the bottom, it'll say all sites, and it'll show you your site. So I have two that I have published here. I have a microsite and a build your own LWR. So I can say, okay, I know it's here, and they both have to say when it was published. If it says not published, go into your builder and hit publish. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to use it. Once you do that, you want to add a workspace. Now, I've already done it, but let me show you how it's done. I hit add workspace and I can name it whatever you want. It's super easy. It's like 3 steps. You tell it which site you want. I'm going to say that's the one I want. Hit next, and then it'll set it up. Since I've already done that, it's here. Now, there are two things you can do. I'll show you in the site what you can do with this, or here you can click on Experience Cloud Content. I mean, that is just what I named it, whatever you named it. You can hit add and add any content you want, right? Document, image, news. I added an image and it's called banner. I want to do that ahead of time. So to create your header, when you first get into the site, and let me make it a little bit smaller. Well, I just kept making it bigger, didn't I? Let's go smaller, and we're going to ignore that. If you were able to see the full page, of course, you're just going to scroll up and down, and there's just nothing here, right? There's these what we call sections. You can see it says column 1. You can see this area here. And you can clearly see these dotted lines with sections. And up here in your top section is for a header. That's where you're going to put at the top of your page that usually in the navigation menu sits in a header. For example, if I take you to my personal portfolio, this up here and where I have my hamburger menu, that's the header. So that's a little different than your banner at the top, but we're going to work on the header to get your navigation menu and everything in there. So it's really easy. First, you start with a section. So if I take my mouse and I click in this section I'm at the top, a component or a box comes up that I can adjust things in this section. So I can use the site color palette. We'll say I've already set that up. That's another video. Height is how tall it is. It looks like it's about 30 to 35 pixels, but I can make it bigger. Say I wanted to make it 100. I wanted a nice wide section. You can adjust it up there. I don't know what the limit is on how big you make it, but we're going to leave it the same. I want the max content width because I want it to show up on every device. Now, here's where it gets interesting. You can make columns and you can arrange them. So right now they're horizontal. So if I were to make this 2 columns, let's see what happens. So you see them side by side. Okay, column 1 and column 2. Now you can make up to, let's see how many we got here, 6 sections. Okay, each section is worth 2. So what that means is if you're looking at this component right where my mouse is, you have an area that's visually, or if you imagine, divided into 12 sections. or 12 parts. If I have one column, then all 12 parts show. If I have two columns, then I have 6 parts here and 6 here. However, I can adjust them. For instance, I want to make this column smaller. I can do that. So you can see up here how it's adjusted. And I'll show you why you want to do that. Let's go back to 6 and 6. And let me show you, right now we have them horizontal, but what if I want them stacked? So I switch over here. And so I have it stacked here. And maybe you want to put a navigation menu down here and something up here. It just depends on your reasons. Or you can split into even more sections. But right now, what I'm going to do is keep it in 3 sections, but I want them horizontal. And I'm going to show you why I did that. And I'm going to resize them. Let's make one section over here about 3, and then the left one, we'll do the same. We'll make it 2, a little bit smaller, okay? And the reason I did that will be because I'm trying to think of how I want my top header. So let's say I want to put in the second column the navigation menu. In the first column, I want to put a little bit of a logo. And in column 3, I want to add a button. And I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But first, let's click on this section again and just go through. So you can adjust a lot of other things. There is help text that tells you what to do for each area. Now, I'm not going to get into each of these and get real complicated because that's something you can play around with. But I want to show you section background image. So if I were to put an image up at the top, okay, there's 2 things that can happen. So let's go back to that. Did you see that I put a color but nothing showed up? And there's a reason. So we're going to make the color disappear for now. Okay, I'll talk about that in a minute. I want a background image. Say I want an image to go across the back. Now you have to remember, if there's text on an image and stuff, be very careful in how you think and how people can see it. But I just took a banner that I downloaded. And so I'm going to click on, if you missed that, where the image is to get one. Now this brings up that CMS. If I hadn't connected it, I have no way to add content at that point. So that's why I connected it. And I had already uploaded the image. But if I had a different image, all I have to do right here is I could add the image, the title, the API name. Alt text. Alt text is for people that cannot see an image. It describes it to them. So a screen reader might describe it to them. I already filled it in, and that's a whole nother video on how to create alt text or appropriate alt text. And then I hit upload and I put it in. But since I already have it, I'm just going to choose it here and I'm going to hit save. And what that does is it's placing the image up here. Now, if you see my image down back into my component on the right side by my mouse, okay, what it is, it's almost like some mountains, some clouds, a little bit of snow, and a sailboat on water. And an image like that, it's huge. You can't really see it. So there's a couple things I can do. I could make my section height bigger. Let's see if it'll let me do 200. And it did. And I could show a little more, but maybe I'm like, okay, well, but I want a different part of the image to show, because since such a huge image, let's just say right now it's on scale to fill, which is fine, but it's just showing the center. Well, maybe I want a different piece of the image. Maybe I want just those clouds at the top. So I would say, let's go to the top center. And then it moves, and then I see the clouds. Maybe I want the bottom center. And it shows that. Or the bottom right, and it starts showing those areas you're doing. And scale to fill, if you hit and change these, like if I go to fit, you can see what happens up there. So you can mess around with these to see if any of these fit what you want. Okay, but remember, when you have images here, a lot of times it's better to have a solid color or a very faint image so they can read the text. And then this image overlay, which I showed you earlier, you couldn't see, I can adjust that and make a tint. See how it's really red now? It'd be too light. Maybe I want a light pink to go over the image, so I adjust it. Sometimes people do that. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to remove this image to be able to show you other things. So I'm going to hit clear. So if I go back up to my section, I can adjust the style. I can do a lot of different things in here. Visibility, do I want it to show on desktop? Just keep that in mind. Okay, so that's just your section. Then within your section, you're going to add things. So let's see, we go to the top left, it says components. There is a lightning bolt. You click on that, and let's look here. We have lots and lots of different things that we can pick. Let me move my picture out of the way. Let's get this out of the way. Ugh. Of course, Okay, got that out of the way. Go to my components. And there's all these different things I can choose. Okay, looks like they have a new site header that's beta. Create a site header for the desktop and mobile versions of your site. That's kind of cool. I haven't played with that myself, but I encourage you to do so. So you can just kind of add, and that's for layout. So that's a little different. Repeaters, support, embedded messaging. That is for Agentforce or bringing a chat messaging out. But I do have other ones that I know I can use. There is one called site logo I could use if I wanted. Let's just grab that and drag it over to this. So now I have a logo. So here you see this component just popped up. I can select it from my CMS and I can change it from mobile. I can do image attributes. So on image, it's allowing me to have a different image on mobile here. And let's see, style, visibility, all this. Let's just add, we'll say my logo was actually this banner, which is not going to look great here, but let's just see what happens. Look, got my tiny image there, okay? So we'll leave that there. And we're going to say in this second column, I want that navigation bar. So I'm going to go over here, and I already know there's a navigation bar, so I can either find it or just type in nav. Okay, so I'm going to grab nav menu. I'm going to put it in the middle. Then you would configure that. Again, I had earlier added home and new menu item here. It was just an external link, but from here you can click on it, you get your component, and you can, to edit the navigation, what goes on the menu, like where it says new menu item and home, I've hit this. I don't want to do that right now. I have the option of hiding the home link, which you may want to do on the home page, but not on the others. And then you can go through and adjust the layout and the background. For instance, if I want my navigation bar to be a color, I can do that. I'm going to adjust that right now. It's going to be bright red. If I were to do that bright red, I would definitely want to change my text color to white. I don't want to use the theme. I'm going to hit custom, and I'm just going to make that white. Okay. See how it just changed white? Now, it didn't do this one, so I'd have to go and investigate, you know, how are they, the home must be an icon, but you can do all that. Now, I'm not going to do anything more with the nav bar. You can adjust that, but I am going to click on my section because I did leave it kind of chunky, and I'm going to make the size back to the default, and the default will go the size of my biggest thing here, right? Since my image is taller than my menu, you don't see all of this. Let's go hit preview. It would look like this. But you can see it shaded back here because I have a background color. But for now, that's not optimal. I really am annoyed with this red color just because I can't see well, and I'm just going to take off the background color and change my text back to black just for now. For this video, I would normally take a lot more time, you know, doing all the aesthetics or the UI. So I created column 3 for a reason. This is what I've seen done before. If I go to my components, I want to get a button. This is super, super common in nonprofits. So I've got my button up there. Now I want to do things. I want the text to say, make a donation, because that's what you usually see. We'll say external URL. Let me grab my portfolio URL, and then I can just go down and change some things. Like right now, that's how it looks. If I preview it, it's kind of cool. You know, of course, you'd make a smaller logo, something that matches better. But essentially, you could do all that, and then you can just put in all the styling elements you want. Okay. Now, you don't have to do 3 columns. And on this particular section, because my logo is barely taking any space, I can put it in a smaller section, and then that allows my menu to be longer. Let's hit preview. You can go like that. So there's a lot of flexibility you have with the header in an LWR site. You just really have to play around with it and see what you want. And if you know how to code and you want the customization, I definitely say go with the site. Otherwise, go to the Aura site. I have tons of videos on Experience Cloud sites that you can work with. So let me know if you have any questions, and I'd be happy to help.